So in a parallel universe, this episode would be a Professor Plomplepop one, and you would be right to think it would fit into the park as well, but sorry to say you guys, it's a pre-Plomplepop one instead. Hello you guys, welcome back to Planet Coaster 2, welcome back to Nerdolandia, and yes, what you are looking at is the product of 3 months worth of work. It's our Canada's Wonderland meets Kings Island meets Carowinds meets whatever park you want to pull in, and yeah, I think we've managed to pull it off. It's been a hard slug, but we are slowly but surely getting there. As you can see in the background, our last areas are in. I have been busy off camera. We will talk about these in another episode, because this is what we need to focus on this week. We've got some tidying up in this area to do. Not all coasters are headliner coasters. No, we need a junior coaster, so there is now one in the park. It's a simple affair. It's actually very similar to what I think is the proposed layout for Chessington's new coaster. It's just the opposite way around with an extra helix. It basically comes out the station, into the lift hill, into a drop that comes around this way into like a spiral helix, then comes back round into another helix, and then into a final brake run. There is nothing particularly spectacular about this, but we needed some kind of a junior coaster. That's definitely something that was missing from the lineup. We've also got a couple of supporting rides. I don't know if I'm going to use all 3. It's going to depend on the space, but I need to find a way of joining up all of this stuff to the railway track, also to the railway station, and all of this bit around here. So that's what we're working on. Better get on with it really, hadn't I? See you in a minute. Well, it's a fancy little affair, and I quite like how this is coming together. Now that all the paths and stuff are in, it's starting to feel like it's actually got a bit of a personality. I'm starting to get a feel for how all the maintenance areas and stuff at the back here are all going to live. But first off, you know how Carowinds has got Wilderness Run that's sitting right at the back of the park? It's a little bit forgotten, a little bit unloved. I mean, it's part of the Snoopy land, but it's not exactly the most major of attractions, is it? It's not one of their marquee attractions, and this is kind of what I'm going for here. This idea that this coaster is just slapped right at the back of the park. It's still there because it's part of the coaster count, but actually it doesn't really serve much purpose for the modern day park. So that's what I'm going for, and I like it, right? There's quite a bit that I've actually managed to configure in here. First off, we've got the cattle pen queue. That's all good. And then we've got a little bit of a plaza area here. So I wanted to have like this idea of this little plaza area. I didn't want to have the path sitting right up against these queue lines and exit paths and whatever. I actually wanted to have some kind of flower bed or whatever in here, you know, just make it a little bit pretty. So that's what I'm going for. And I quite like it. I'm alright with it. So the actual queue line itself, it's got usual fencing, you know, the typical fencing that we're finding. And then the station itself, I'm keeping this so simple. It's literally just breeze blocks all along the side. I've actually put a runner along the outside here because as you can see, there's quite a bit of Z fighting when it comes to putting. I don't know what they've done. It's since the last update, the Z fighting on the station platforms is just ridiculous. So I've actually put a runner along here just to hide it off a little bit, but the actual structure of the station itself is just going to be wood, and I'm going to make it that light pine wood, and then I have already done the roof. It's over there with the old wood roof. So yeah, I don't want it to be themed. I don't want it to be heavily stylized or anything like that. I just want it to be jank and here. So I've put the this is the resort railing, isn't it, the fencing here. I put this along here, and I didn't want to bother with doing a custom fence, you know, so all the struts are actual vertical. Because the path here is only a slight incline, this works fine. It needs a bit of tidying up, but it's all good and well. So you'll notice, by the way, the coaster is now only running one train. I did have it on 2, but I kind of thought that a coaster like this would only have 1 train. I don't think it deserves having 2 trains. It's too much. It's too much. But what that means though is the maintenance area becomes so much simpler. I was going to have a maintenance area living in the background here. I was going to have a separate track, and it was going to have transfer and everything. And do you know what? It was just too much. It was just overkill. 1 train is enough. A shed along the side where they would keep all the spare parts and whatever. That's perfectly enough for this kind of coaster. I'm trying something different here. Normally I would put down some kind of flat roof or whatever just to give a concrete pad. But actually I'm using the staff path for this. I think it works just fine. It works, you know. It sits there. It's all right. Bit of a fence, you know, a bit of a gate and fencing and whatever, and it's all good to go. Don't die fencing then has all been done around here. I mean, it's arguable as if they would even use don't die fencing, but I've used it because the train is travelling at quite some speed when it gets to this point, and there's no real way of sectioning it off, so it's in a zone of its own. So don't die fencing for the win. But I haven't put it underneath the lift hill here. I have just put a bit of the breeze block down here just so I can put some of the electricity cable cabinets and stuff. This is where the motors and whatever for these wheels. Oh my god, what am I even trying to say? The wheels here, the wheel lifts, they would have some kind of electricity cabinets and whatever down here. So that's what I'm doing. They'll come in here and all be good. So you'll spot, by the way, that I didn't use the extra ride. That's now sitting over here. Whether I end up using it in the rest of the park, I don't know. I'm starting to run out of steam, if I'm honest. This park is sort of dragging on, and I just want to get it done. And I kind of need these two attractions to finish it off, don't I? So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. In terms of the maintenance area, then, I have decided that I'm going to put the train maintenance here. And I do want to do a bigger maintenance area at the back. It kind of feels like this would be the right place for it. And then having a road and whatever that's coming around here. But that's going to be a later episode. When we do the car parks and maintenance areas, you know, that's the final things that I always put together. But what I have done is I've just put one of the units in here, and then I've just got another one here for the actual train shed itself as well. Now, the trains do fit in here. Just need to do some detailing and stuff on this and then call it done. I do want to put the concrete and stuff down in here, I think, and then have the actual road running along the back here. But the actual work area is all going to be gravel. Nice and cheap. Throw the gravel down. Happy days. It's accessible. It's nice and flat. Be done with it. There you go. So this is where you do all the servicing and whatever for the trains, and then you'd have some kind of access at the back here, and then you'd call that done. So the actual ride here, I've just put in another cattle pen queue, but I have decided to do something similar, something different. I didn't want to use the full pad, as you know, so I've just put a little bit of a weird shape to it, and then the rest is just going to be hidden by some flowers and foliage and bushes and whatever. I don't quite know what I'm going to do with this jagged edge. I don't know whether I'm just going to raise the terrain and be done with it, or whether I need to find a way of blending it, and I don't quite know how I'm going to do it. Normally I would hide it with something like a hedge or another fence or a wall or something, so well, a bit like here actually. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the actual plaza itself I'm happy with. And then the two units here, I haven't put any food or whatever in this one, but I have just put the food. So I think it's So Delightful and Pizza Pen on this one. So yeah, I don't want an actual food unit in this area. It doesn't feel like the area would sustain it, particularly as you're going to have some of the major stuff in here and then some major stuff in here. So this would be where other food units would be. You've also got major food units in the western area, so this is just a bit of a thoroughfare really. It's a bit of a middle ground, so it was fine. Just deal with that. And then the magic carpet, I've done a bit of work on this, right, and I don't like that the guests have to use both sides. Like, take a look at Quantum at Thought Park. It only uses, I think it only uses one loading side. It uses exit the other side, but it only loads from one side. You could typically load and unload from the same side. It doesn't need all of this, and the guests do walk round this way as well, but it's fine. Whilst it's like this and you can't see the guest movement, it's all good. So I'm happy with that, and I'm going to put some flowers and stuff in the front here, and then this is going to have foliage. And just like the other side, I don't know what I'm going to do here, whether I'm just going to raise the train to hide off this bit. But it's a cattle pen queue, taking Canada's Wonderland's top scan into consideration with this one. This is the inspiration there. And then down this way, I've just started to tidy up this pathway, put some fencing and whatever in. I've now fixed up all of this roadway, put in some extra fences and whatever, so it just needs foliage just to finish it off, and I think that's going to be done. That's the autosave, god, at least it doesn't take 10 minutes. And then I've just put don't die fencing and whatever around the coaster here, so it just needs its warning signs and stuff, and then we are good to go. So there you go, that's how we're sitting at the midway point. Flowers and foliage are going to make it come to life just like this. You ready? Go. You see, foliage for the win. Yes. Oh, guys. Yes. I actually didn't think this was going to come together like it did. I say this a lot, don't I? But I actually did have moments of just bin it off and start again. I'm happy with this. It's come together amazingly. And by the way, oh my god, there is the most amazing backstage stuff that's just been put onto the workshop. It's by Cyril Burns. If I remember, I'll put the share code on the workshop. And it's got like skips and all sorts of stuff. Thank you, Cyril. Like, you are exactly everything that I was looking for. Now, I've not done too much around the maintenance area here because I'm going to be doing an entire maintenance area episode, but you can trust me, I am going to be using that stuff. If you, by the way, know of any other maintenance-y type stuff, leave your share codes in the comments, please, because I'm going to need them. And I'm kind of toying with the idea of not doing them myself if good stuff is on the workshop. So here we go. Here's the coaster. It's a junior coaster. What more can you say about it? It's nice and simple. It's effective. It does what it needs to do. A couple of trees around the outside just to give it a little bit of life, and some some terrain paint changes and whatever, you know, like the dirt underneath the track to give it some wear and tear. But other than that, it didn't really need much more than this. I'm happy with it. It's a one train operation, so it's nice and simple. This is the maintenance area then that I've done down here. Just giving it a little bit of overgrowth around the outside on this side, and then a couple of the don't die don't die signs. Now, I know that you haven't actually picked up on this, but I'm still using the in-game ones. I didn't want to. There is one on the workshop, and it's really good. I've downloaded it, and I'm going to use it when I do a different series. But I kind of wanted this park to be baked in the universe of Planko. So there's this "Don't Die" sign. This is their equivalent of "Don't Die" signs, rather than using our human signs. So yeah, I like it, right? And it's nice and easy to put together. They just align to the surface and whatever, and they look all right. So that's why I'm still using those, just in case. Not that you asked, but it's fine. So inside the station then, this is what we've got. It's just exposed wood and a couple of floodlights just to light the station. Other than that, a little bit of touching up work. It doesn't even need baggage stuff because it's a one train operation. You'd leave all of your stuff on the station platform, and then you'd collect it as you leave. So like, it's a really simple setup. In fact, this station could probably be open air without a cover, but creator's guilt kicked in. I was like, I can't just not do a cover, so that's why we've got this simple cover. But I think I like it. It's effective. This is the flower bed down here then. This is pretty much as I wanted it to be. I did toy with other plants and stuff in here, but actually I thought it needed to be a little bit bushy, a little bit overgrown, but still kept. So yeah, I like it. And it just creates this nice little separation between the queue line and the exit path and the main plaza area. It just gives a little bit of it just breaks up the area, so I'm okay with it. What I'm kind of not okay with are these 3 picnic benches here. It kind of clutters up the plaza a little bit, but it's kind of the sort of stuff that these parks would actually do. Parents and whatever would be sitting on the benches along here and along these picnic benches and stuff whilst they're waiting for their kids to come off the rides. So it's baked in realism, but I just don't like it. I don't like it there. The floodlights, by the way. I don't know if we've spoken about the floodlights before, because they were put in when I did the multiverse coaster. They're just there. So if you want them, download the park, and they just steal it as a blueprint. They work, actually. Let me show you. Because they do. They are actually quite effective. There you go. So, mind you, it's a little bit biased because you've got the lamp down here, but you can see the glow that comes off of it, right? So, they work. So I shall be using those in future parks. This is the full tilt ride, a full throttle, whatever. I was careful, by the way, not to use DLC rides, because I know that DLC landed like a cup of sick, right? So I'm avoiding using the DLC rides in this park because I know that some of you still want to download the parks and whatever, so I don't want to ruin that experience for you. I mean, I know that console players already can't download the park, so it is what it is. But yeah, this is what I've got for the cattle pen queue. It just comes together quite nicely. Foliage around this area, a couple of hedges and whatever, kind of just to hide the railway, but more to try and hide some of the backstage stuff around this area. So I mean, it doesn't do a very effective job about it, but at the same time, this is the kind of park that probably wouldn't bother about that, so it's all good. Then the main plaza area here, again, just picnic benches. No umbrellas on this one, though. They wouldn't have anywhere to store them outside of park. Well, they would. They'd be able to put them in here. But, yeah, I haven't done the stalls in here, by the way. And that's because I'm waiting for the fixed, or a fix, to come along to fix actual stalls. I don't know whether this would be a gift shop or whether this would be another food and drink unit. I need to see what would happen when it's fixed, know what the guest flow's like. So I've kept it blank for now, but I'm okay with that. Then we've got the magic carpet. I was like, what ride is it? It's the magic carpet. I've just done the foliage and whatever around here. I haven't done this side, by the way, because I need to do the train station and that actual final bit. So all of this beyond the hyper isn't really done. It's just there as a placeholder. But I've done all the flowers and foliage here. There's what I was talking about, the guests walking through. Just don't look. Just ignore it, please. It's bad enough I've decided to trade off and keep the 2 stairways rather than having just the 1. But I've done all of the foliage and I've copied that all along here, so it's at least you know, consistent. And you've got the patio area here, and then the queue line coming through. So I like it. And then likewise all along here, I've just kept that whole foliage theme going down this way. And then I have also put the flowers and stuff that's lining the pathway. And then I just put a couple of bushes and whatever in, just to try and give a little bit of life to the train behind it. I don't want to hide the train. That's not the purpose, because otherwise this bit is going through with foliage on one side and a massive fence the other. That's just not how we roll. But yeah, so I've just put the foliage and whatever along here just to give it a little bit of life and a little bit of bulk to the area. And then down here a couple of trees have come in, and then I've just given some of the it's not bracken, is it? This is the arrowwood, bush, just to give it a bit of, again, it's bulk, isn't it? All along underneath the log flume. And then of course you've just got the fencing and whatever that's all along here. This is definitely not going to be doing much of a job of stopping people. They're just going to walk around it if they're going to walk around it, right? But there is a psychological thing that theme parks, well, in fact any public area has, and it's all to do with the psychology of a fence. Means that most people won't actually cross the boundary, no matter how high that fence is. The presence of any kind of fence psychologically stops people from doing it. It's only the rebels that jump fences, and you shouldn't be doing that. If there's a fence, don't cross the line. And I think that's why it's a psychological thing, because we say that, right? If there's a fence, don't cross it. Anyway. This bit is all nice and simple. It's just a couple of trees and whatever. That's a bit close, actually. I think I'm going to move it. But ultimately, it's just some vegetation and whatever that's in here. So when I come around this way, I'm going to finish off doing the rapids ride and whatever. I don't really know. I want to try my hand at doing a rotating platform. There is one on the workshop. It's really, really good. So I'm going to see how that's done, but I'm not sold on the idea, but it's fine, whatever. And then of course there's the intimate, but yeah, all of this bit's going to need doing over the next 2 episodes. I think I'm going to do the intimate next, because this is almost like the boundary of the park. And then we'll do the rapids after that. So there you go, right from the top. Love it. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the episode, guys. I really do appreciate it. As I said, leave your share codes for maintenance areas and stuff at in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. We're going to go for a ride on the Junior Coaster. I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.